could handle having your very own ferry. Fox 13's Lauren Donovan went aboard 2 decommissioned Washington State ferries that are now up for sale to show you what buyers are really up against.
No power, no light, no ventilation.
This feels like we're almost on a movie set.
It's a little eerie.
With each turn of the tide, wasting away further.
It's untended, it's unmanned.
Perched on rust-eaten rails, seabirds have replaced captain and crew.
And sadly, nature's taking over.
Look at all the moss growing there. Once in constant motion, carrying hundreds of passengers each day. Now these ancient mariners barely have a heartbeat.
Here we are on one of the pilot houses. All of the equipment has been removed.
But could they be pulled back from the brink, brought back into use? If history is any guide, some ghost ships have risen again.
The streamlined pad embraces the humble ferry boat. Here's the Kalakala, last word in modern construction on her initial trip from Seattle to Bremerton.
Broadcasters back in the day said it another way. Now most folks pronounce it Kalakala. But the sentiment remains the same. When the Silver Slug launched on Elliott Bay in 1935, it was in a class of its own.
It was an amazing Art Deco boat ahead of its time.
Not only did it look remarkable, it was the first ever commercial vessel equipped with radar. So eye-catching, in fact, it drew crowds away from the newly erected Space Needle during the 1962 World's Fair.
And people loved it so much that they didn't want it to go away. So they bought it, and then they couldn't figure out what to do with it.
Traded hands. I actually saw it up in Kodiak when it was a fish processing plant.
And then it just goes until someone buys it, and then it just decays.
Left to rot on the muddy banks of the Duwamish. By 2015, nearly a century later, it was bound for the junkyard. Still, many vessels like it have been reborn, reimagined instead of scrapped.
And we get people who want to have a restaurant, they want to build an office, and some people have done those things. The Hayu is a tiki bar on Lake Washington, and the Elwha is at Everett Shipyard, Everett Ship Repair, where they have turned it into office space.
As you just saw, some vessels get a second wind, but that doesn't happen to all boats, like these ones right here, in what I like to call ferry purgatory.
We are in like the best ferry place that we have, Eagle Harbor, where we maintain and preserve our boats. We're on purgatory, I would say.
Standing amidst puddles, framed by algae-streaked windows, John Veneza, one of Washington State Ferries' top dogs, tells me the unfortunate reality is
we have lots of folks who hear about these and they're like, this would look great at my lake, or this would look great in front of my place. And these are big boats. There's a lot of steel. There's a lot that goes into them, and we have a responsibility to the environment, to the taxpayers of Washington, not to let them go somewhere where they'll sit and just decay.
Moral of the story, just because you can buy a ferry doesn't mean you should.
We do not want it to be a graveyard. We are looking at every way possible to get rid of these last 2 boats.
Vessels very much available for purchase right now. And that is why Tim Clancy here, general manager of the maintenance facility, invited us on board.
We are going to take a look at 2 of our decommissioned vessels, the Kalakala and the Hayak.
Car decks stained with seagull scraps, marred by salt residue.
Yeah. Lauren, this is the challenge. You can see the corrosion, the orange blooms. When you get to this point, this is why it's so expensive to maintain these vessels.
It wouldn't make sense to take money that we need to maintain and preserve our other vessels to paint and keep these in shape.
Whoever takes on one of these will need to put in some serious care, or salvage what they can't.
How we dispose of our old vessels is hard. Recycling is certainly one way we can do it.
Last year, an Ecuadorian facility attempted to take 2 at $100,000 apiece.
They set up a tow plan, and they didn't make it far from Bainbridge, and that fell apart. So we're not gonna sell them to South America.
And ever since, WSF has lacked a serious buyer. So sadly, the wrecking ball, not the auction hall, could be their end. It's an outcome even longtime stewards struggle to face.
In the past, people had high school proms on the boats, and people get married on the boats. These boats are part of people's families. Having worked here for a decade and ridden on these boats and remembering when they were full of people and there were kids running around, and the crews that we have who care so much about them, it is really hard to see them in this state.
It's just materials, right?
True, yeah, but probably like you've grown up here and ridden the ferries your whole life, and so, it's It's sad to see something like this out of service.
And that's why they tell me it's paramount.
This iconic green and white, where everyone would know is a Washington State vessel, it's going to the right place.
Reporting on Bainbridge Island, Lauren Donovan, Fox 13 News.